Good evening, and thank you for joining us for the SI Evening Edition. We would like to welcome you all as part of the D-Tools family to this inaugural event. My name is Kevin Fry, Product Adoption Specialist here at D-Tools, and tonight I will be your host. I'm joined by several members of the D-Tools Customer Success team, including your SI account managers, Trillia Alcindor and Michelle Hamilton. We also have several members of our professional services group, including Eduardo Volok, who will be assisting with the presentation. Plus, we have Chris Botto, Doug Clemens, and Thomas King behind the scenes helping to answer your questions. We are all part of the team focused on ensuring you onboard successfully and get the most value from your D-Tools system integrator investment. Tonight, we have two exciting topics, both related to custom reports. First, we will introduce the D-Tools API and some advanced reporting options. After that, we will provide an example of embedding Visio drawings in project reports. Before we get started, I would like to remind you that System Integrator is truly an end-to-end solution for your business. From sales and design to project management and service, and onto your back office, D-Tools software is here to help. Be on the lookout this month for our release of SIV 22 with many updates. These include multi-signature and counter-signature enhancements in the customer portal, Gantt chart improvements, and many other features based on your feedback. We also have valuable additions on our roadmap that we expect to release in 2025, including inventory management, multi-office support, and a widely asked for mobile app. Now I'll hand off to Eduardo, who also heads up our API team, to provide an overview of our API capabilities.
Thank you, Kevin, and hello, everyone. In this session, we'll briefly discuss our APIs. API stands for Application Programming Interface and allows access to your data using simple API requests. It enables different applications to share and synchronize your data. The most common requests are GET, to get the data, and POST, to post new or updated data. For example, you can use the API to create a project or a service order, update your catalog pricing, or retrieve your project data from a custom integration with your accounting system or an analytics tool. There are a series of use cases and supported workflows. We are here to help and support your journey using our API. We can recommend integration workflows, API endpoints, and the necessary JSON payloads for your integration development. Please note that while we do not offer integration development as a service, we can suggest companies specializing in this. Next. All right. We offer comprehensive documentation, including an overview of our APIs and the technical service documentation. We also offer specific documentation on how to build your own integration with Excel and Power BI. In a future event, I'll be guiding you through the process of developing those integrations live. Here are a few examples. In this slide, we have Power BI reading your data, your project data, and displaying three different analytics. We have a simple table with client name, project name, and price, cost, and profit. On the bottom left, we have an AI tool that can respond to any questions related to your data. On the bottom right, we have a pie chart showing the budget by project type, which was set at the custom field 28 in my data set. Here we have a global Gantt chart, which can display all or selected projects plan duration for the project management or any other phase of the project lifecycle. This is an Excel integration, and what you're seeing is a pivot table displaying the sales in fiscal year 24, grouped by project type. On the bottom, we have a graphic illustrating the above information. This particular view was built against some sample data. As you can see, we have not sold anything in November, December, but this data allows each row to basically be broken down by month. This is similar to the previous slide, but in reverse, meaning the months are column. This allows users to see their data from different angles and allows for different analytics. In this slide, we added another graphic to show the sales team monthly performance. Please note that on the top, we have a timeline where users can select the month. It is an interactive filter, and the data will reflect their selection in real time. We also have two additional filters, one for each sales rep and another for the project type. These filters are very user-friendly and can help the team analyze their performance. Thank you, Kevin, and I'll send that back to you. Actually, a quick recap here. The API allows you to do custom reporting, custom integrations, and resolving special business requirements. To find out more, please go to our documentation. You can Google the tools SI API or click on that link. Look for third-party integrations, and this will give you access to all of our documentation. If you need help, please reach out. We are here to help. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Eduardo. That was a great overview of the power of our API and reporting tools. And I'm sure many of you are familiar with custom reports and System Integrator. What Eduardo just discussed is one aspect of that. And our software provides a powerful framework for the creation of unique and complex documents right inside of SI to assist you during the sales process, as well as many other business needs. As an example, I'm going to provide a quick demonstration showing how your Visio drawings can be included in project reports. So first, let's review how this works. The first requirement is having Microsoft Visio installed. To include drawings in reports, the drawings must be part of an SI project. They can't be standalone drawings. The report works by exporting images directly from Visio and storing them with your project files, and then including them in the report when you run it. And now for a quick demo. So I have my SI window here. This project is currently open. I'll switch over and show you my bill of materials for this project, as well as a set of drawings. And it just so happens that this is a project that I helped a friend with who is a D-Tools customer, and I believe he is here on the call. So thanks, Mike, for allowing us to share your awesome work. We appreciate you being part of the family. So I'm just clicking through the drawings just to kind of show you, what this drawing looks like. And the scenario is that I see a lot of customers that do some drawing work on the front end and they want to include it as part of their proposal. And that's often a disconnected kind of manual process. So what I'm going to show you tonight is that I can automate that for you. So I'm going to click back to the project editor, go to reports, and then I'm going to choose run reports. And I have a custom report here. It's actually largely based on standard reports out of D-Tools that I assembled and put a few extra features in. So I'll go ahead and run the report. We'll run this against the approved project. So the report does have a few options. If you've already run the report before and the images exist, the report will give you the option, like you see here, to proceed, which means go ahead and create new images. Maybe I've made some changes to the drawings and I want to make sure that it's the latest version, or if I click no, it will just skip the generation process and utilize the existing the existing images that I've placed from a previous run of the report. I'll go ahead and click yes and let the system, it's going to take control of Visio in the background here. It's going to take a snapshot of each drawing page and then generate our report. So as you can see, this is a pretty typical proposal style report in D-Tools here. And the only customizations you'll see in the beginning is I added, wrong button. I added, the company profile, a scope of work, and then this is just a proposal with images. So nothing too groundbreaking here. So I'll just click through a few pages. We'll scroll down and sorry, we get to, our subtotals, our project summary, and then the next page, this is the slightly more interesting part which is our project drawings, right? So when I ran the report, it took a snapshot of each page and embedded it right inside the report. And I'll just kind of slide through here so you can get a look. So rather than running the report and separately creating a PDF, probably of a different size, and then trying to figure out how to merge that outside of the software, this allows you to include it right as you run your proposal. And I can zoom in here and you'll see that the quality is actually pretty good. It's about 300 DPI for the images. So it does give me enough detail that a person reviewing this can see the information without making the files excessively large. Okay, so we'll back out of here. I'm just going to show you one more quick thing. Go ahead and close our project. So if I just happen to pick the project from the list and click Run Reports and try to run the report, it's also smart enough to recognize that Visio is not running, but then it also checks the folder to see if I've previously run the report and the images are available. If they are, right here, it lets me know Visio is not running, but it thinks that the images are available and it will let me continue, or I can choose to cancel and open Visio if I need to do that. But again, I'll just click OK, and it will go ahead and run based on the previously stored images, and you can see it. Here it is again. So that does complete the presentation. And I'd like to make a few announcements as we move into our Q&A. First, for those of you that have limited time, I'd like to thank you for joining us. Be on the lookout for a follow-up email soon. And for the rest of us, I'd like to get you acquainted with the Q&A process. So to ask a question, please use the raise hand option in your Teams window. You're also welcome to type questions into the chat or the Q&A section in Teams, and we can answer those for you as well. When you do get called upon, please remember to unmute your microphone. We'll unmute you from our side, but you still have to unmute your microphone in your Teams interface. Now I'd like to introduce Trillia, who will be moderating our Q&A session.
Thanks, Kevin. All right. All right, here we go. Oh, we look like we have some questions coming in. You guys feel free to raise your hand to ask any questions if you would like.
Please don't be shy. We'd love to hear from you.
Hey, this is Doug from PSG. We've got one in the Q&A, and I thought it could be interesting, Kevin. Can pages be excluded from the Visio drawing, or can you choose which images to be added?
So that's definitely an option. It's a great question. Thanks, Doug. Definitely an option. This was just an idea that has come up. I create a lot of custom reports. I think we all do as part of professional services. It's one of the services we provide to customers to help, make D-Tools better fit their business and their needs. And this question has come up a number of times, right? Can I include drawings in my project reports? And the answer has always been no. I don't like to say no to these sorts of questions. So one day I just figured it out. So we have this as an option. It's still a custom solution, but it's very flexible. And that is actually one of the things that I've been considering adding is maybe an option to choose specific pages or even page types. So maybe if you're familiar with the Visio integration, and I'll go ahead and open this up just so we can see inside of Visio, each drawing page has a type, right? So there's plan view, line drawing, elevation view, and schematic. And let's say that maybe what you really want to show for a proposal is just the plan views. So that would be something that I could definitely do. I've meant to do it, and we've just been busy, but I think it's a great. I think there's a lot of opportunities to enhance this feature, and make it really shine for you with your custom reports. So absolutely, we can make some additions here, and we plan to do it. So yeah, let us know what else we can do, what other options might be useful. Thanks for the question.
Kevin, a quick follow-up, if I may. How can
Please.
teams get a hold of this report?
So I will be sending out an email. We'll definitely have an email follow-up. It should be tomorrow. We're going to include details from the session, information about links to the API information, a link to download the report that I was showing here. So we'll definitely share it. And then, and we'll also have some information about who to talk to on our team if you have some further questions or are interested in us helping you with some customizations.
Additionally, for the Q&A, these can be any topics that you wish to discuss. They don't have to be related to the two topics that we reviewed tonight. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to hit that hand raise or just raise button, and we'll get started.
Thanks for that, Zach. Yeah, absolutely. We are here to help. We are a group of experts in DTool software, so please ask your questions. We'd love to chat.
This look like we.
So I saw the one question just pop up about, do the DTools the drawing files have to be stored in the DTool structure? So let me just address that really quickly. If I go back to the Project Explorer here, and I have this project selected, the software by default stores all of my project files in a folder. That folder can vary, right? There are some settings related to where those files are stored, but at the project level, when I process the data for the report, I can identify what folder that is. And so the report will automatically, when it takes the snapshots, I'll show you here, it's actually I can open the folder, Control F12, little shortcut. This is the folder where those files are stored, and you can see the 7 PNG image files that were created. So when I created the report, number one, I made it look at the folder to determine whether the files exist already. If they don't, it will store them there, and it uses a special naming convention that matches the drawing information so that it's easy to identify the correct images later. So I guess, long story short, the idea is that the system manages that for you. If you have any additional thoughts on that, please ask. But yeah, ultimately, DTools is going to manage that folder location and all of the files for the project for you. What other questions do you have out there? I know there were some others.
There's a question from Matt that's inside of the Q&A. It says, when creating an internal change order, will the price always be $0? If not, should this be reported to DTools? Oh, we do have a hand raised.
Great.
Sorry, go ahead.
Was that Matt? Was that Matt?
Right.
Thank you for that's a great question. Let me address that. So internal change orders, in general, the intent is that I am making changes that the customer is not asking for. And in general, we always want the price of that change order to be $0. So there is a feature built into the software, a setting that allows me to say that when I add items to an internal change order, make them non-billable. And if they're non-billable, the price will be $0. The challenge is that when you delete an item, you can't make the price $0. So if I have a part that's $100 with some labor and maybe it's $150, when I delete that on the internal change order, the value is negative. there is a feature in the software called placeholders. So at the stage where you approve the change order, you'll be able to save the negative value into what's called a placeholder, and that will zero out that change. Let's see if I can actually demonstrate that here really quickly. If I just open this project, which is approved, and it does actually have some change orders, I'll very quickly show you what that looks like. So if I was to simply, let's say I don't need so many speakers in this room. I select these 4 speakers. I choose to delete them. And I'm going to go ahead and mark the accessories as deleted as well. And then I'm going to create an internal change order for this, right? And deleted excess speakers, okay? And so we have this internal change. I'm going to go ahead and select that. And then you're going to notice that if I filter to only show the internal change, right, you can see it's a negative value because I deleted items with a price. I'm going to go ahead and go to settings and to change orders. And when I go to approve this change, mark it as approved. That's going to ask me to save it first. Right here, this second tab is placeholder. So the placeholder option is here. Right next to it is this check mark that says maintain cost and price of deleted items in a placeholder item. So all I have to do is check that box. And by default, all of the options here are selected. And I can not only, maintain the cost of equipment and the price of equipment, but the cost of labor and the price of labor individually. So there might be more complex workflows where I want to make some individual choices, but the default behavior is simply capture all the things I deleted into a placeholder. You can see the placeholder value of 2345.76, which is exactly the value of the change order. So I'll just go ahead and mark it approved. And you're going to see right here when I do it, that change order is going to change to 0. Right? It changed to 0. And now here's what happened is that we're looking at the result of the approved change order, which is change order to placeholder, where we've captured the value of those deleted items. I hope that helps.
Kevin, we do have, I believe it's Bert that has a question. I'm going to unmute his mic.
Perfect.
Now. Okay. All right, you may have to unmute yourself, but you can go ahead with your question.
You definitely will have to click the unmute on your end to go active, to go live.
It's Bert. Okay. Okay, I think you're unmuted now.
It looks like you're unmuted, Bertrand, but I'm not actually hearing you, so I'm not sure if you're having an audio problem. You just muted and unmuted, but I still don't think anybody can hear you. Sorry, I'm not sure what the problem is, Bertrand, but go ahead and if you don't mind, if you could type in something in the chat or in the Q&A, we'll definitely be happy to take it until you can resolve the audio, because you do look unmuted, but we're not hearing you. Oh, there we are. I think you're live now. Maybe.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, hi.
Hey,
Go right
ahead. My question is from the main window where I see all the projects, and then I create a custom layout, right? Mm-hmm. Where I have the names, and then I can put the columns the way I want.
Sure.
Is there a way to generate a report from that? So basically, I have all my price, cost, margins, product price, and I want to print a report that lists all that information into a summary.
Yeah, so you can't run a report But somebody help me out. Correct me if I'm wrong. I can export this layout, can I not?
You can export layouts, yes. Custom layout, there's a checkbox that allows you
So
to.
yeah, here it is right here, I believe at the top, export project list. So yeah, thank you. So I can do the project list or the current layout. So whatever layout you activate, I only have the one file, but I can say, you know, selected, anything I select on the layout or just all, which I think still, because I have a filter, it will likely just be a single. Oh, no, it's everything, right? So there it is. I just got my layout. So there you have it.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome. Great question. All right, who else? We still have about 30 minutes, so we have lots of time. Happy
Hey,
to take
Kevin,
as many questions.
there's a
Go ahead,
good
Eduardo.
question.
Yeah.
There's a good question here from Mike Dolan. He's asking,
Okay.
what happens if you have multiple Visio files for the same project? And I believe that relates to the custom report to print the Visio drawing.
Yeah, so it's a great question, and it's actually really simple. The way that I wrote the report is you can only, my understanding is you can only open one of the Visio drawings for the project at a time, right? You can't open, like you can see here, I have 2 Visio drawings. I can't open both of them. I can only open one. So the workflow is really simple. You start by just opening your drawing, and then like you saw me do, I went to the project editor and I chose to run the report. And at that point, the report is designed specifically to find the project data and the project drawings and do its magic. So if you needed this for multiple drawings, right? If you had separate Visio files and you wanted to include some pages from both, I think that would just be some other customization. Certainly something we could explore. But today, the only way that it would work is it would be separate. You'd have to run it individually. But one little trick that you could use to make it work today is that if you ran it for each Visio file, and they have different names, right? You're going to get a list of files like I showed before. And if you just change the names for the additional files to match this sequence, so the additional ones were, 8, 9, 10, etc., and then you ran the report again, it would actually work. Just tell it not to generate the files again, and it's just going to look for this list of files, and it should actually work as it exists today. I hope that helps. But again, we'd be happy to look at that as maybe some options there. But currently, the way it works, it really does rely on Visio being active with the drawing open for the project.
Kevin, we do have another question. Eric has his hand raised. I'm going to go ahead and enable his mic. Okay, Eric, just make sure that you unmute on your side.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Perfect. Hey, Eric.
Right.
Good to hear
Hey,
from
Kevin,
you.
how are you?
Great to see you here. Thanks
Good.
for coming out.
Yeah. Hey, my question is, I guess, probably, a little bit more complicated, but one of the things that my team has asked me recently is, we've been, working on very large multi-level floors for, new construction. And, we want to be able to add a lot of the default or the included Visio stencils in the drawings, but not necessarily link them to bill of material items like dropping data drops or power outlets where we need them, but I don't necessarily need to flood my bill of materials with additional items or drawing aids. Is there a way to utilize the existing stencils that DTools provided, but break the link to the project, or temporarily break it, I guess, if we didn't need to link it and just need to show a triangle or a square somewhere?
Yeah, it's a great question, Eric. It's definitely some custom Visio work. I don't think it's that hard. I mean, under the hood, I'm not going to get into the details here, but I'd be happy to help you with this offline. But fundamentally, when you drop a shape, one of our shapes, onto the drawing page, there's some code inside of the shape sheet that triggers the software to ask you, what the product is and that sort of thing. So number one, you could create a custom stencil, a custom version of the stencils that removing that code. And then they would be kind of independent. And I see Randall just popped up with a comment about importing your own stencils. So you're right on the same ideas I have there, Randall. I think that the key would be that if you want them to effectively be like, say, RJ standard stencils or something like that, you just have to create a custom version of it, and each one of those shapes would have to be, just lightly modified so that it doesn't trigger DTools to recognize them, and that would actually work. And then I know that it's still available out there, I believe, and correct me anybody if I'm wrong, but there is a piece of software called FreeTools that you can access and download that is specifically built to kind of do drawings using our stencils without them being associated to DTools projects. And that even might be a shortcut if you could get a hold of those stencils if they're available. I do believe they're largely the same stencil set, but they just don't trigger the software. But something like that would work for sure. Great question.
Gotcha.
Thank you for that.
Gotcha. And if it's all right, can I send you an email? Because I think ultimately what I'd like to do is duplicate the stencils so that I can, modify them without breaking them. And then I would love it if there's a way that we can, in the shape sheet, add like a toggle in the shape data to enable or disable that link. Would be amazing.
That's actually a really intriguing idea. I'd love to chat with you about it. I think it's a possibility.
Cool. I'll send you an email.
Great. Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right, we have Mike with a question. Just a second. All right, Mike, just make sure that you unmute on your end.
Hey there, I kind of have a follow-up. Sometimes we want to do a detail, and that's where you have that duplicate device. And I thought you could, in Visio, if you did a DTools copy, it would make a duplicate device and add it to your bill of materials. But if you did a Visio copy, it would just copy the shape and not the DTools information. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Let me make sure here. Let me go ahead and open this drawing back up so we can take a look at it, and it'll make that a little easier to answer. There is a feature built in to handle what you're talking about. Now, I think just to clarify the difference, Eric's question was more about how do I just independently use a shape that is not in any way associated to a product or package or something. Versus what you're saying, which is I want to get a duplicate, right? And just to make sure everybody understands the difference here, there's a feature here that allows us to effectively get a duplicate copy of the shape without duplicating the product. So there's a couple of ways to do that, but give me just a second. And I'm sorry, I'll leave this open this time so I don't have to keep reopening it and save us a little bit of time. But it's another great question. Right, there is a tremendous amount of options built into our Visio integration, and it's almost endless, the different nuances that are there to help you get great results. So let me give this just a second, and we'll show you what this looks like. And this works really with any shape, but let's say, one example would be, for instance, here's an example where I have this device location plan. Okay, it shows speakers and cameras and some other devices. And then you'll notice if I go to that's the mezzanine floor. And if I go to the mezzanine conduit plan, notice that you see, I've changed some shape data, attributes of the shapes on the other page. But when I created this page, I actually duplicated the page without duplicating the parts, because I just wanted to get the locations of all these shapes. So how you can do that, it's a kind of a two-step. There's a couple of ways that you might be able to approach it, but I can just create a new page, right? And you'll notice that this page, it's page 8, and it actually has what is called a background, which is it's referencing that mezzanine plan. So if I come back to, say, this mezzanine device location plan, let's say I want to gather a lot of these shapes and copy them over so that I can use them in a slightly different context, like I did here with the conduit plan, right? So I can simply do Control A here, select them, Control C to copy. And then I'll just go back to page 8, give it a second here. And if I right click and do DTools and I use paste special, so right click, DTools paste special, there's a couple of options. So new products is the one you never want to do. And if you want to set the options here, if you go to the clone options, you can set your default. Notice my default is currently set to clone products with no prompt. If I do this, if I choose paste, I'm going to get not only all of the shapes pasted on this page, but it will create a copy of each one of the products in my bill of materials. But what I really want is alternate products with no prompt. And I'm sorry, I kind of skipped over this. The new products one with a prompt means that for every shape I paste, a window is going to open and ask me what the product is, which is very tedious to get through. So I try to avoid that one and be very careful. But alternate products with no prompt means just give me a copy of the shape, don't copy the product. And then I'll just go ahead and paste it. And you'll see here, it'll take it a moment to paste on the page. But an example, I'll come down to this shape in the corner. This speaker, notice that it's ROP SPK 8. And if I go back to the place where I copied it from, it will also be ROP SPK 08. So again, I got a copy of the shape without duplicating the product. Does that answer your question, Mike?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's real good.
Awesome.
And it keeps that link with the data so that both devices will get updated. So that's great.
Absolutely. If I make any changes, if I double click, oops, I clicked the wrong one. Give me just a moment and I'll show you that if I was to, zoom in here a little bit and make some minor change, here, I'll do something simple like the component ID. I wouldn't normally recommend this, but I'm just going to add the letter A here and I'm going to save it and then cancel this. So notice this one says it's 08A and I'll go to the page 8 copy and it's already there. In real time, it just updates. So you're 100% right there. These two shapes are really a representation of the exact same product and they will always stay in sync. Thanks for that question.
Thank you.
Okay, we have another hand raised. Give me just a second. Okay, Jose, I'm gonna enable your mic now. Just make sure you unmute.
Yeah, I have a question in regards to the Visio reports. There's some fields that can be automatically generated. So for example, the address, it'll reference the address from the project, the created, the modified, even the page name in accordance to the amount of pages or where it lies. Is there a list or a catalog of where you can actually pull the data sets from to see what's available?
Yeah, let me show you how to find that information. If I understand your question, I just created a new page. I'm going to go ahead and set it to have the title page as its background. So this is like a cover page, right? So we have a blank sheet here. I'm going to go ahead and just add a text box really quickly. This would be the idea that maybe I want to show some project-specific data in this text box, and I want DTools to automatically populate it for me when the drawing opens. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead here and just make this a lot bigger so that we'll be able to see it. So I have a text box. My cursor is live in the text box. I actually just hit Control A to make this selection so I can see it. I went ahead and increased the text size. This is really quick and easy. I'll right click. I'll choose Insert Field. And then this is where this is going to get a little bit geeky. So for those of you that are not too interested, just bear with me. It'll only take a second. So I select Custom Formula. And notice it gives me the equals. And I'm going to say the doc. The doc is a reference to the document in Visio. And then I'm going to type an exclamation. And then prop, P-R-O-P, prop stands for properties. And these are really what this means. This is a really geeky code for the document properties. and then I'll click a dot, and it exposes the list. So it is equals the doc exclamation prop. And as soon as I hit a dot, it exposes the list of available data. That is project level information. So that should get you started. And so if I was to say, for instance, if I started typing the word project name and I select project name and I click OK, it shows me the project name. If I hit return and I go ahead and insert field again, if I go to custom formula, it remembers it up here, and then I could add something, like the city or the address. Oops, I didn't quite get that right. Just double click on it and click OK, and it keeps populating. So I can just kind of keep editing the text box and inserting those fields where I'd like them. So hopefully that helps. There isn't really any documentation available beyond that, but maybe we'll get some out there. But hopefully that points you in the right direction. And if you didn't catch all that, I will send a copy of the video from this call, and you'll be able to review that.
No,
Hey,
that's
Kevin,
perfect.
Real quick, while you're right there, is revision a field that's available in that doc fetch? The revision.
I think we were looking at that recently, Doug, and I don't remember, but we're going to find out. I believe it is. I think it's
you're just right there, and I knew the answer was right.
Project revision, and so it says 7, so I could add text in front of it and say, revision. I could spell that right. Revision 7. Right, that sort of thing. And so 7 is data. It came from the project revision field. So yeah, kind of a fun thing to be able to do a little bit more automation here to streamline some of these tedious processes and avoid, manual entry and manual editing. If any of this data changes, right, after I've created this drawing, then next it updates in real time. And then anytime I open it in the future, it automatically updates to the latest set of data.
Do you know if there is a field for the sheet names? So we do a call out.
So like the names across the bottom.
Yeah, that'd be really nice.
Yeah. So let me just go down a little bit. So I'll show you how to find that. That's quick and easy. So if I do insert field, it's a little different. It's not custom. It is actually page info, and there it is, page name. So cover is the page we're on, so it shows the page name.
So the issue that I've ran into is that when we're doing our one of our cover pages, we'll list out all the different sheets.
Yeah, that's a little different one, Jose. Here, let me answer it this way. These are some things that I've been interested in, maybe holding some occasional kind of working sessions and helping solve problems like this. We can certainly do it. I think the best way to do it would be probably with a macro, a Visio macro, and I can show you there are some ways to use macros, and I know there's some other folks on the call that are aware of how macros work and how they can enhance your workflows. So, reach out. Let's get together. Let's get a group of people together. If anybody's interested in doing something like that and just spending a little bit more time, we can certainly do it. It's really Visio related. It's not specific to DTools, but it's definitely something we could explore together and help you get what you need.
Thank you.
And Eric, thanks
Kevin,
for the kudos. Yeah, Zach.
Hey, there's some chat going on regarding kits to the BOM and being able to add like a receiver and transmitter and some of the tools that we have available in SI to account for that on their drawing when you're building those packages for those kits. Sure. That might be a good thing to quickly cover.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the
so
SI side.
For sure. So the question is, if I purchase a kit, right, that say from one of my vendors that is a transmitter, an HDBaseT transmitter and receiver pair, for instance, how do I handle that when I go to create drawings? So let's do this. Let me just quickly go back to the catalog and I'll walk you through my general approach. So we did make some changes to the software, I think in V19 or 20, that helps with this a little bit. Or or it could be in 21. I can't remember, but it's relatively recently that we've made some of these changes. So I'm going to show you this in a very generic way because I've answered this question a number of times. So I'm going to show you this way. Give me just a second. So here's an example, right? This Atlona, ATGEX70C kit. I'm not sure if this is even an active kit anymore, but it definitely meets the criteria of what we're talking about. And the idea here is that when I look here, you can see the little image. It's two parts, right? It's two parts, but in DTools, if we want to show the transmitter and the receiver on the drawing for a schematic, for instance, there's no obvious way to do that. So the way that I approach that is we're going to go to the description, and if we get lucky, sometimes it'll tell us what the parts are. It doesn't. So I'm going to kind of cheat here, and I'm going to show you how I would do it. What I would normally do is if the parts that come in the kit are available separately, right? If I can actually buy those as individual parts, then there's a good chance, if this is one of our partners, there's a very good chance it'll be available in our DTools library to download. And so I'd first start by downloading the kit, and then separately, I would download the transmitter and the receiver if those are parts. If they're not, they probably still have some kind of a model designation. I would hopefully get a hold of the physical part and find out what each piece is called, and I would create them as custom parts. And then I would come to this kit, go to accessories, and I would say I want to add products, and I'll show you how I do this. So give me a second, and I should have a TX-RX. Yeah, so actually, give me just 1 second. Let's see if we can find it. For some reason, the ones I'm looking for are not coming up. So here's what I'm going to do. I am just going to clone this part, right? So I'm right here in the add accessories window, add products as an accessory, and I just chose this part, which was the kit. And I'm going to just change the name. Instead of it being the 70C kit, I'm going to call it, 70C TX. And then maybe take the transmitter out or the kit out and call it a transmitter. And I could make other edits. For time's sake, I won't. I'll keep it pretty simple. And I would just update this and, show that this is the transmitter, right? And I'm going to zero out, in this case, since it's a custom part and I'm not really buying it, I'm just going to zero this out. I'll show you also that we have a feature to help us with this. I don't know why. There we go. And I can still have labor. So I still have, 15 minutes of finished labor associated with the part. And I'll just go ahead and save it. And now I just created this kind of custom cloned part. And I'm just going to do that one more time. I'm going to hit clone and make it the RX as well. And then I'll add those both as accessories to my kit. So that way, when I add the kit, I automatically get these parts with it. And I'm just going to leave it at that for now. Keep it simple here. We have a transmitter. Oh, you know what? I must have already done this before. So I'm just going to add another character. Oh, maybe that was the previous one and I didn't realize it. Yeah, so I want my transmitter and my receiver. I'll add those as accessories. So here they are. They're now accessories of the kit, but I don't want to be prompted because every time I get the kit, I want the parts. So I'm going to uncheck the prompt boxes, and I'm also going to check the boxes saying that they're included. Included says that when I buy the parent's item, it comes with these accessories. Notice it also marked them as do not order. So if I was to go and issue a purchase order, these would automatically be filtered out. So I'll go ahead and save that. Now, if I was to go ahead and grab this kit and drag it to my project, I'll just drop it right here. Of course, this is an approved project. There it is. Sorry, it was just a little slow. I'll go ahead and add it to one of these existing change orders. And then notice that I get the parent item with both of the internal parts. So these may or may not have IOs, right? The part I kind of skipped is that I would clearly, for the receiver here that I just opened, I would go to the IOs tab and I would add appropriate IOs for it. And I would do the same for the transmitter. And then now I would be able to, drag them to the Visio drawing page.
Thanks, Kevin.
Does that answer? Absolutely. Thanks for that, Zach. Who's next?
All right, we have another hand raised. Just a second. All right, Mike, we have a question. I'm gonna go ahead and enable your mic. Just make sure you unmute. Mike, just make sure you're unmuted on your end.
Sorry.
No worries. There you go.
We work with AutoCAD and with Visio, and DTools, when we're using Visio, just seems to bog down. But there are some things that we like in Visio a little better than AutoCAD. So I'm just wondering, are there ways to optimize for speed, or like when we bring in should we use PDFs as backgrounds in Visio, or should we use the copy and paste from a DWG? I'm not sure what you guys, what the rule of thumb there.
The good news, Mike, is there are options. I spent 12 years using this software largely in a design capacity, both with AutoCAD and Visio. Of course, it's changed a lot since then. I started using it in 2004. So I think software's come a long way. And fortunately, Visio has also come a long way and is a much better platform. So number one, I'm always going to try to be on the latest version of Visio. At DTools, our team uses Visio through Office 365 subscription. So that way we always have the latest, greatest version. Beyond that, I wouldn't worry too much about the professional version or anything like that. Just be on a current version of Visio if you can. That's definitely going to give you the best results. And then, the PDF converter, I think, is a great option, potentially. Inserting CAD files, using the built-in Visio insert option can also be a good option. But I think in the end, you really just have to find what works best for you, because there are some unknowns and some things that are out of our control, because we're really relying on Microsoft Visio as that tool. Be happy to take that conversation further, which gives me an opportunity to mention that we host, our professional services group, we host Q&A sessions every Tuesday and Thursday, right? Similar to this, but no presentation, just an opportunity to get together, talk to somebody who knows a lot about DTools software. And if they don't have the answers, they'll find somebody who does and get you information to help you continue to make progress and find better success. Tuesday and Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern. If you are not familiar with those sessions, I would encourage you to check out our website. If you just browse the web and just type in DTools Gold Support, you will 100% find a page. If you go to our website and search for Gold Support, you'll definitely find it. We host those again every Tuesday and Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern time, about a 30-minute session. Someone like me or another member of the team would be there to answer your questions. So another way to engage with us and kind of dig into these little nuances that come up. And we do have about 5. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. We have about 5 minutes left, so I'll try to keep these brief if we get a few more questions.
Yes.
As we come to the end here.
Yep, Jose does have a question. Jose, go ahead. You're all good to go. Just make sure to unmute.
I have a few questions, but one of the new things that I noticed is DTools now has a new section for the library, kind of like manuals. Is there a way of having the manuals for all the equipment in a project bundled together so we can deliver to the customer?
So we did think that's a great question, Jose, and I hope a lot of folks are excited about my answer here, because I think it's a great feature. So we added a feature called submittal reports. So if I go to reports tab, you can see submittals here. Well, what is a submittal report? A submittal report can access both project files as well as product files. So an example, if I open up, I don't know if this file has any files, we're going to find out. But when I open up a product, there is now a files section for every product in my catalog. And the DTools library has the ability, in many cases, we work with our partners and we get access to things like spec sheets, user manuals, and as well as higher resolution images and even back panel images. So a really good assortment of files that you can access that we do our best to provide. And if we don't have those files, you can click add file and you can add your own, which is awesome, right? You can anytime we can't get that for you, you can add your own. Not only that, you can create your own categories here by clicking the manage button to adjust the organization of these. And you can also add links. So there's an option for links, which we can download when you run a submittal report, or files that we'll store on the server for you. And you can pull all of that data by doing an update from the library. I'm expecting this project probably does not have the data, but if it did, I can go to submittals and I can say I'd like to add a submittal report. So you can create your own configurations of the submittal report. So notice that spec sheet submittal versus user guides, right? You can choose inside of the report. Actually, here, sorry, let me just select it. And then it's going to load this up and let me choose first files and links. Oh, good. We do have some documents with or products with documents. So this is just going to be spec sheets this time. I can also choose to add some project files. So if I had, say, like a PDF right here of the drawings that I wanted to include, I can definitely do that. Maybe a copy of the proposal. I have some options, whatever works for me. And then I can choose different versions of the report. They can be standard versus custom, or grouping the data in different ways by location or system, etc. And I'll just go ahead and run this. I know we're just about out of time, but it's an awesome question. Great opportunity to show off this super cool feature. And what it's going to do is a couple of things. Notice it says that there's a this project submittal PDF that it created with links, and that it stored the documents in a folder. So would I like to open it? Yes. So here's what happens is the system, here's the main project folder that we looked at earlier. It creates a submittals folder inside of that. And then inside of that, this one is called spec sheet submittal, which was the name I gave to that configuration of the submittal report that I ran. And then it stored, in this case, I didn't ask it to download the files. So all it did was it ran the report itself. And here's the project submittal. And then, oh, you know what? There might be a bug in this particular report because it should show me links below. Sorry, it might be me not knowing how to change the page. There we go. Sorry, this file opened in an unexpected PDF editor. But yeah, so there's a link here. And if I click the link, it's going to take me to that file. So it just opened in my browser. So this was a file that's stored in our library data. So it actually was a link directly to the library that takes me to the file. I do have the option if you go to run these submittals, you will have an option in your settings to download the files as well. So if I say that I'd like to go ahead and run this, I'll do it really quickly and I'll show you that it will in fact download the files. What it won't do is assemble the files into a single PDF. We know that's a very challenging task to do, and it's not guaranteed to function properly. So what we do is we dump all the files in this folder for you and give you access to process those and deliver them the way you'd like.
That's awesome.
So I'm glad you liked it, Jose. So hey, we are at the top of the hour. If there is anyone that really has a critical question they need answered, I'd be happy to answer one more.
Kevin, it's Doug.
Otherwise,
I got one. Are you developing a images report with the drawings for AutoCAD?
You know, it's a great question. Thanks for that. I'm an AutoCAD user for a long, long time, over 30 years, and I love it as a tool. I think it's a great tool. So I'm going to say that when I do have some time, I will be looking into that. I have some other customers that have asked the same question. And I'd like to be able to say yes, but I'm not 100% sure that it would work the same way. So I'll definitely be doing some R&D when some time frees up. We'll take a look at that and see if I can put something together, because I think it'd be a really nice option to offer. Any final question? Thanks, Shane. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming out. Mike, you do have one more Okay, I know we're just I don't want to go too far over. If any of you need to go, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate your time. Expect a follow up, and we'd love to hear from you. Can we? I'm going to activate just for time's sake. I'm going to allow Mike and Jose both, since you both raised your hands. Whoever's first, go ahead, Mike. I think you activated.
Is there a way that you could just include a link to maybe a tutorial on getting down and dirty with some of the Crystal reports stuff? I just want to get a little more familiar with how those reports are created and make some customizations.
Yeah, it's actually, that's a great question, Mike. It's actually called Active Reports. Happy to do it. When I send the email tomorrow, if you write back and ask me that question, I have a link I can provide with some information for sure.
That'd be great. Appreciate it.
Jose.
And then my last question for today, at least, is there a setting in DTools that we can click on when we add a product from the library and it has our cost because they're a partner vendor, but to have the retail price reflect MSRP and not just cost again?
So today, that is a manual process. If you're familiar with it, one of the easiest ways to do that is to apply a price rule. So if I do download a product and it has a cost, I can open the product up under the price tab. I can go to price rules and I can have a price rule in here that sets the price based on MSRP, something like this. Go ahead and apply that. Now, of course, if the MSRP is there in the window, you probably saw that I could just really quickly copy it and paste it as my price. There is no automation. It is a great question, Jose, and it is something that I think is a critically important feature that we should add. So I will pass on your thoughts to our product manager and continue to encourage our team to build that, because I think it's actually a very important option to simplify pricing. So thank you for the question. Thank you so much for coming and making our first SI Evening Edition a success. We couldn't do this without you. So thanks for being here. Please be on the lookout for that email with content links and options to inquire further on both of these topics. We're here to help. We're here to support you. So let us know how we can do that. Please continue to engage with us. Talk to your account managers if you need help. If you're engaged with one of our professional services consultants, definitely reach out to them. If there's something we can do to help, we are here for you. Also be on the lookout for another email about another evening edition. This won't be the last. Hopefully we do many, many more. So we'd like to try to do another one this year if we can. So just be on the lookout for that. Thanks for being here. We hope to see you next time.